Today, we're diving into the story of a man who was born a prince, someone destined for incredible power, but who chose a path that was, well, completely different. And this isn't just some ancient religious tale. It's a story about a profound human choice, a choice that would literally go on to reshape the world. Let's get into it. And I really want you to think about this for a second. What would it actually take? Imagine you have everything. Everything you could possibly want. Money, security, power, pleasure. And you choose to just walk away from it all. For what? An unknown, tough reality? Why on earth would anyone do that? That's the real mystery we're trying to unpack here. Okay, so our story kicks off way back around the 5th century BCE. We meet a guy named Siddhartha Gautama, a prince of the Shakya clan. And look, he wasn't just wealthy. His father literally created a perfect gilded cage for him, a world completely sealed off from any hint of real human suffering. Now, why would his dad do that? Well, it all goes back to a prophecy made when Siddhartha was born. The prediction was that he would grow up to be one of two things, either a world-conquering king or a world-changing spiritual teacher. His father, completely fixated on building a political dynasty, did everything in his power to make sure his son never saw anything that might spark that spiritual curiosity. But here's the thing, right? You can't hide reality from someone forever. It just doesn't work. At 29 years old, the prince finally decided to venture outside the palace walls. And what he saw out there would completely shatter his perfect world and set him on a path he could never turn back from. For the first time in his entire life, he saw an old man. Then he saw a sick man. And then a corpse. Now you have to imagine, these weren't just sights for him. This was a profound psychological shock. It was the moment he realized suffering is universal. But then he saw a fourth sight, a calm, wandering ascetic, a spiritual seeker. And that showed him that maybe there was another way, a path to find answers to all this suffering. And just like that, he made his choice. In an act we now call the Great Renunciation, he secretly left the palace in the middle of the night. He left his wife, his newborn son, and his entire destiny as a king, all to become a homeless wanderer searching for truth. It's an almost unimaginable decision to make. But he didn't find the answer right away. Not even close. His journey was a tale of two extremes. He'd already lived the life of total indulgence in the palace, and he knew deep down that it was hollow. So he swung the pendulum to the complete opposite side, extreme self-denial. He thought that by punishing his body, he could purify his mind. What he learned, though, was that torturing the body just clouds the mind. And when I say extreme, I mean it. His commitment was absolute. For 6 years, he pushed his body to the very brink of collapse. This wasn't some brief experiment. It was a grueling, years-long quest that nearly killed him. It just shows you how incredibly determined he was to find a real answer. The big breakthrough came when he was on the edge of death. He had a realization. You can't have a clear, sharp mind if your body is falling apart. So when a village girl offered him a simple bowl of milk rice, he accepted it, abandoning his extreme practices. That single decision, that was the key that unlocked everything. This experience led directly to his first great insight, the middle way. He realized the true path wasn't about extreme pleasure or extreme pain. It was about balance, a disciplined path right down the middle that avoids the traps of both. This simple yet incredibly profound idea would become the absolute foundation of his entire philosophy. So he sat under a tree, what we now call the Bodhi tree, and prepared for his final test. The legends describe it as this epic psychological battle with a figure called Mara, who is basically the personification of all of his own inner demons, his fear, his doubt, his desires. And as all this stuff is just raging in his mind, in a moment of supreme, unshakable confidence, he simply reaches down and touches the earth, calling it to witness his right to seek enlightenment. And in the story, the earth bears witness. In that moment, he achieved nirvana, but what he meant by nirvana was totally radical. It wasn't about merging with some divine god. It was a psychological breakthrough. It meant the complete uprooting of ignorance and craving and the extinguishing of the illusion of a permanent self. He hadn't become a god. He had simply woken up. Now known as the Buddha, or the Awakened One, he wasn't about to keep this incredible discovery to himself. He journeyed to find the 5 companions he'd practiced with before and shared what he had learned. This event is so important, it's called Setting in Motion the Wheel of Dharma. And his very first teaching laid out the Four Noble Truths. It's such a clear and elegant framework, almost like a medical diagnosis. Number 1, hey, suffering is a real thing in life. Number 2, here's what causes it. It's craving and attachment. Number 3, here's the good news. It's actually possible to end it. And number 4, here's the prescription, the path to do it. Now, this is where we get to maybe his most revolutionary idea of all. The dominant belief in India at the time was in Atman, this idea of an eternal, unchanging soul that is your true self. The Buddha came along and said the exact opposite. He proposed the concept of anatta, or no self. He claimed that there is no permanent, solid you at your core. What we call ourself is just a fluid, constantly changing collection of physical and mental processes. This was a completely world-altering idea. So the obvious question is, okay, how do you actually do this? The answer is the fourth noble truth, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the practical how-to guide for liberation. It covers everything from wisdom, like having the right view, to ethical conduct, like right speech and right action, all the way to mental discipline. It's really a complete training program for the mind. So what started as one person's journey quickly grew into a movement. The Buddha founded the Sangha, a community of monks and nuns that was radically egalitarian for its time. It completely rejected the rigid caste system that dominated every aspect of life in ancient India. For 45 years, he traveled and taught. And after he died, his followers moved quickly to organize his teachings. But the real explosion onto the world stage, that happened about 200 years later, with the conversion of the super powerful emperor, Ashoka. Ashoka didn't just adopt Buddhism for himself, he actively exported it. He launched these massive state-sponsored missions, sending monks as far away as Sri Lanka, all across Southeast Asia, and even out to the Greek-speaking kingdoms in the West. This is the moment a regional philosophy went global and became a major world religion. So, when you boil it all down, what's the legacy? The Buddha's teachings were a radical disruption. He rejected blind faith and championed direct experience. He famously told his followers not to just believe him, but to test everything for themselves. His path was a call for personal investigation into the very nature of reality. Just a prince who woke up and then spent his life showing others how they could wake up too. If this story has sparked your own curiosity and you want to keep exploring, you can dive deeper into the source document for this explainer and even test your knowledge with a quiz. You'll find the link for all of that in the description below. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey.